Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Now with the main headlines. Grand Ayatollah Shirazi says that Ziyarat Aminullah can be recited for all infallibles. Shia protesters rally in Islamabad to denounce ongoing terrorist attacks targeting Shia civilians. In collusion with Islamic organizations, China continues persecutions against Muslims. And 2023 sees largest number of deaths and injuries worldwide, new study shows. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu, dear viewers. This is Yunus Dawood and you're watching Shia Waves live from London, only on Imam Hussein TV 3. The daily scholarly meetings of Grand Ayatollah Sayyid Sadiq al-Hussein al-Shirazi was held on Monday and Tuesday, the 25th and 26th of Jumad al-Thani. In these sessions, like the previous meetings, the Marja answered the various questions of the attendees about jurisprudence or issues. Grand Ayatollah Shirazi discussed Ziyarat Aminullah and said there is a hadith from Ma'sumin to the effect that in addition to the command of the faithful alayhi salam, one can recite the ziyarah for all infallibles alayhum salam ajma'in. His Eminence went to say that some scholars have recommended reciting Ziyarat Aminullah on visiting the shrines of Sayyidah Zainab and Sayyidah Ma'suma alayhi salam, but such a point has not been mentioned in the hadith. Regarding the permissibility of the acting on the dreams of some scholars about the reward of visiting some holy shrines, the Supreme Marja said in text documenting the dreams of some scholars, it is mentioned that since it is not possible to visit Sayyidah Fatima Zahra alayhi salam in ziyarah because of the location of a grave is not known, therefore a person can visit the shrine of Fatima al-Ma'suma alayhi salam in trying to achieve the thawab and barakah based on the rule of expansion in mustahabbat. It is alright to follow such recommendations. Let's watch the statements of Grand Ayatollah Shirazi.
شوفوا في الروايات الصحيحة السند الظاهرة الدلالة في الأحكام الشرعية في الواجبات في المحرمات، إذا صارت الرواية معرضا عنها بين مشهور الأصحاب هذا لا يؤخذ بها. هاتين الروايتين هم من هالقبيل.
A group of Shia Muslims from the Pakistani city of Parachinar organized a protest in front of the press club in the capital Islamabad to denounce the increasing number of terrorist attacks carried by extremist groups against Shias, Pakistani media outlets reported. The protests come in the wake of recent attacks carried out by the extremist group in the cities of Karam and Parachinar in the past 2 days. The protesters demanded that the government ensures the safety of Ahl Bayt followers to safeguard them against terrorist attacks. They also stressed that this deliberate targeting of civilians and innocent Shia lives require condemnation. Pakistani media outlets also quoted a number of Shia scholars as saying that the situation in Parachinar is deteriorating again, which is increasing the concern of the Pakistani people. They said that the security forces are unable to protect innocent Shia civilians that are in the Kuram region and is constantly under the control of terrorists. They added that the government has turned a blind eye to these painful incidents, and it seems that these terrorist members have been unleashed to shed the blood of the innocent and easily escape punishment. The head of the Uyghur Research Center in the United States, Abdul Karim Idris, said that China is waging a war on Islam inside the country and is using Islamic organizations as a propaganda tool at the international level. In a statement to Radio Free Asia, the RFA, Idris said that the visit of the representative of China, Ilzat Ahmadjan, to the United Arab Emirates shows that China will continue its genocide against the Uyghurs. He added that the incorporation of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation with China will be recorded in history as a sign of betrayal and corruption. The IAC is closely cooperating with the Chinese government. In August 2023, representatives of the organization visited East Turkestan at the invitation of China, despite the fact that the latter waged a repressive war against Muslims there and does not. Idris pointed out that the Chinese government is ignoring international accusations and is pretending to respect the rights of Uyghurs and ethnic minorities. This false propaganda was detailed in a report published by the Uyghur Human Rights Foundation in July 2020, entitled "The Happiest Muslims in the World: China's False Information and Propaganda on the Uyghur Crisis." He explained that organizations like the OIC are nothing more than global interest groups, that's how there should not be such an organization or institution in Islam. He added that this organization, which cooperates openly with the China China and the oppressors of the Uyghurs does not represent Muslims but only the rulers in the Islamic countries. However, these rulers show allegiance to China's authoritarian rulers, which is the contrary to the character of the organization. Let us remind our respective views of today's headlines. Grand Ayatollah Shirazi says that Ziyarat Aminullah can be recited for all infallibles. Shia protesters rally in Islamabad to denounce ongoing terrorist attacks targeting civilians. In collision with Islamic organizations, China continues persecution against Muslims. Also tonight, Azerbaijan added to US list of religious freedom offenders. A study has confirmed that the year 2023 recorded the largest number of civilians who were killed or injured by airstrikes, bombs and shells in over a decade. A study issued by the Action on Armed Violence said that 33,846 non-combatants were killed or injured in 2023, an increase of 62% from the previous year. It noted that this is the highest number recorded since the group began an annual survey in 2010, pointing out that these figures are based on reports of violence and conflicts around the world, which is less than the actual number of deaths and injuries during the year 2023. The group's executive director, Ian Overton, said that the last year proved to be the most damaging for civilians due to explosive violence since the group began monitoring in 2010, pointing out that the battles and clashes in Ukraine and Sudan have contributed to the rising numbers of victims, in addition to the attack on October 7th on the Gaza Strip. The group explained that the Operation Iron Swords, launched by Israel in response to the October 7 attack, caused 37% of the total number of civilian casualties in 2023. These figures announced that the group does not come close to the number of deaths and injuries in the war that the Israeli army is waging on the Gaza Strip. According to the latest statistics, the number of the victims has exceeded 23,210, more than 59,000 injured in addition to nearly 8,000 missing. And now we'll continue with some short news. The Saudi Ministry of Hajj and Umrah announced that the number of pilgrims during 2023 Umrah reached a record high of 13.55 million pilgrims. The ministry said the largest number of Umrah pilgrims from outside the kingdoms was estimated at 8.55 million in 2019. In 2023, the number increased to 13.5 million pilgrims, which is the largest increase in the history of pilgrims from outside the kingdom. The number of increases is estimated at 5 million pilgrims, or an increase of 58%. The recent conflict between Israel and Hamas in Gaza has contributed to global warming, The Guardian said in a new article based on recent study. According to the analysis by researchers in the UK and US, the planet warming emissions generated during the first 2 months of the war in Gaza were greater than the annual carbon footprint of more than 20 of the world's most climate vulnerable nations. The damage caused to Gaza's infrastructure, including water and sewage systems, could have long-term environmental consequences, the analysts have confirmed. The findings highlight the need for international action to address the environmental impacts of conflicts and prevent future conflicts from exacerbating climate change. As many as 14 soldiers were killed and 19 others wounded on Tuesday when a military bus came under Islamic State or IS attack in Syria's Homs province, a war monitor reported. The incident happened when the IS militants attacked a military bus transporting soldiers near the T3 oil station in Sporin Desert region in the remote eastern countryside of Homs, according to the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights. The Britain-based watchdog group said that the injured were transported to the Tadmur hospital in the city of Palmyra for treatment. The Syrian desert has been witnessing a notable increase in IS attacks since the beginning of 2024 in various areas with government's control, said the observatory. A brand new substance which could reduce lithium use in batteries has been by 70% has been discovered using artificial intelligence, AI, and supercomputing. Microsoft used AI systems to screen more than 32 million battery candidates. From that, they were able to make a new material that could transform how batteries work. According to the tech giant, the discovery is also a major breakthrough for AI, showing how the technology could be used for real and transformative breakthroughs that can be found much more quickly than ever before. More than 6,600 migrants died while trying to reach Spain by boat last year, a Spanish non-profit organization said on Tuesday. The figure is more than double the number in the previous years when the organization Camino Frontiers Walking Borders said that 2,390 people have died. The organization said that 2023 was the deadliest year since it began keeping records in 2007. Most of the 6,618 deaths recorded occurred on the so-called Atlantic route from the West Africa to Spain's Canary Islands, just west of Morocco. The figure included 363 women and 384 children. The vast majority of the fatalities of 6,007 occurred on the attempts to cross the vast ocean separating northwestern Africa from the Canary Islands, making the Canary Islands the most lethal migration route in the world, according to Walking Borders. Walking Borders found that those 17 countries were killed trying to reach Spain. Most were from the African continent, but were also victims from Palestine, Bangladesh, Syria, and Yemen. The US-based Christian Today newspaper revealed in a news report that Azerbaijan has been added on the US list of persecutors of religious freedom, including the persecution of members of the Shia and the Armenian followers in the country and depriving them of their legitimate rights. The newspaper said in the report seen by Shia Waves agency that this is the first time that the US Department of State has recognized Azerbaijan as a violator of religious freedom and has placed it on the list of countries that persecute religious freedom, most notably Saudi Arabia, Afghanistan, Iran, Tajikistan, Morocco, Bahrain, and others. It continued that Azerbaijan also joined Algeria, the Central African Republic, the Comoros, and Vietnam on the list of countries that violate religious rights. The newspaper explained that Azerbaijani laws impose burdensome requirements on religious groups and minorities, including Shias, and these restrictions are increasing day by day, and it deprives them of their rights to worship freely and choose their own religious leaders. It added that the Azerbaijani government physically abuses religious activists, arrests and imprisons them, and does not allow them to serve their country and homeland. Dozens of Sudanese activists have been arrested and tortured in secret detention centers, commonly referred to as ghost houses by military intelligence, in recent weeks. Al Jazeera reported yesterday that many of those being detained are members of the resistance communities, which played an instrumental role in organizing mass protests to bring down Sudan's autocratic former president Omar al-Bashir in April 2019. What is happening is the political revenge of the cadres of the reformer regime who are in the security forces, said one resistance committee member in the Port Sudan, the army's stronghold and Sudan's de facto administrative capital since the war. The army frequently accuses resistance committee members of being RCF sleeper cells, but activists believe that this is a pretext to punish them for their role in bringing down al-Bashir. Meanwhile, Sudanese activists accuse the army of devoting more efforts to crack down on them than the RCF. Many pointed out to army's rapid withdrawal from Wad Madan in mid-December, which allowed the paramilitary to capture the city. Since the war erupted in April 2023, resistance committees have mobilized to evacuate civilians from neighborhoods caught in the crossfire, hospitals, and distribute food and medicine to those in need. But activists are now pausing their initiatives for fear of arrest. However, these resistance committees have been cracked down for calling for an end to the war, for the RSF to dissolve and the army to surrender to a civilian government. We have reached the end of today's Shia Wave show. Let's remind our day viewers of today's headlines. Grand Ayatollah Shirazi says that Ziyarat Aminullah can be recited for all infallibles. Shia protesters rally in Islamabad to denounce ongoing terrorist attacks targeting Shia civilians. In collision with Islamic organizations, China continues persecution against Muslims. 2023 sees largest number of deaths and injuries worldwide, new study shows. Azerbaijan added to US list of religious freedom offenders. And democracy activists face crackdown by Sudan's army. You can view the latest news on Shia's website, and you can send news of your city or country to be published on our news agency. Contact us on the numbers at the bottom of your screen. This is the end of today's news. Thank you for watching, and we pray to Allah the Almighty to hasten the reappearance of the Master of our time. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Dear viewers of Imam Hussein TV, you are watching the late night show with myself, Ali Fadl, as your host today. Ahmed, how are you, bro? How's things? You okay? Good to see you, bro. Please take a seat.